One fight promised to redefine a generation. One man rose to become the undisputed king of boxing, cementing his legacy forever. But in the glow of his greatest triumph, did he also expose the painful truth about a sport in decline? The world's eyes were fixed on the punches inside the ring. Yet, the most shocking revelations came not from fists, but from the words spoken after the final bell. A glimpse into the bitter war for the soul of boxing itself. The night was historic. Terence "Bud" Crawford, master of the sweet science, stepped into the ring against the formidable Canelo Alvarez, daring to move up in weight in pursuit of immortality. Broadcast globally on Netflix, it was more than a fight. It was a gamble designed to usher in a new era for the sport. When the dust cleared, Crawford stood victorious. With championship gold draped over his shoulders, veteran commentator Max Kellerman leaned in and crowned him the greatest of his era. For one perfect moment, it felt like the coronation of a king. A fighter who had spent his career silencing doubters had finally ended every debate on the grandest stage imaginable.
Thank you, GOAT, because you are the GOAT of this era. Terence "Bud" Crawford.
But that clean, triumphant narrative was about to get very complicated. Boxing legend and fellow commentator Ward stepped forward with immediate praise. He called Crawford's performance nothing short of greatness, an act of danger and brilliance rolled into one. At nearly 38 years old, Crawford had not simply outboxed a bigger, stronger man. He had fought a masterful, intelligent fight that stripped away every supposed advantage Canelo carried into the ring. Ward broke it down with precision. What made Crawford different wasn't just his unmatched skill. It was his hidden strength, forged long before his boxing stardom in the grueling world of wrestling. That base gave him balance, leverage, and a raw power that few ever credited him for. From the opening rounds, that strength, paired with flawless conditioning, forced Canelo to respect him, disarming the size gap and shifting momentum in Crawford's favor. For Ward, this was no longer up for debate. Crawford had delivered the final, undeniable stamp on a legendary career. A man who had answered every question the sport had dared to ask.
We just seen Terence Crawford create greatness and beat Canelo Alvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Terence?
Well, Terence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, and he did that at 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people called me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there, the power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So what more can I say?
But then Ward said something no one expected. When asked what was next for the new king, his answer was stunning: retirement. Ward explained that Crawford had already checked every box a fighter could dream of. The fortune to secure his family for generations. The respect as an all-time great. A legacy beyond question. In Ward's eyes, there was nothing left for Crawford to prove.
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?
Yeah,
why are we still in the game?
Yeah, I get it. Andre, always good to talk to you. Appreciate it.
The idea lingered. A shocking thought that the man who had just conquered the sport might now walk away. It suggested a harsher truth. Maybe the rewards at the top were no longer worth the risk. While Ward imagined an exit for boxing's brightest star, Max Kellerman went the other direction. His voice swelled with emotion as he declared the Canelo Crawford clash the dawn of a new golden era.
No, I did. What I said was, and I was right. And of course, Canelo is the face of boxing. So of course he feels a certain way about it. But does anyone dispute that boxing is not as big as it used to be, right? It's not. If you go down in the street, the average person doesn't know. Now, it's different in Mexico, obviously. And I even said before that, Mexican and Mexican-American fans have kept boxing alive in North America. So Canelo from Mexico, of course, has a different experience because you walk down the street in Mexico, the average person knows who the champion is. In America, in the United States, they do not. The point is, we have a chance for the first time in my life, which is why I'm involved with this, because I think there's an historical moment where there's a chance that it could work, that between Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White and Nick Khan, who's the most effective executive I have ever even heard about, let alone seen, that this could become what's going on here, what Canelo Crawford's kicking off, could actually result in a golden era of boxing. Because for the first time...
It was a bold statement, and for many, it felt almost out of place. Kellerman wasn't merely praising a great fight. He was selling a vision, promising that boxing's best days were still ahead. This was more than post-fight analysis. It was the spark of a brewing controversy. While Kellerman painted a bright horizon, critics saw decades of storm clouds looming over the sport.
If you want a league or a sport to grow, you need to make plans. And the issue with boxing has always been it's a laissez-faire marketplace. It's, as Dana White says, a going out of business sale. Every promotion's trying to juice the fans for everything they got, which is why now only a handful of fans are watching on pay-per-view. The prices keep going up because the marketplace is shrinking because we haven't exposed it to the mainstream. Because we take these fans and we $100 for a pay-per-view. Come on, man. And half the time the fights aren't good, right? And they don't take place when we want to see them even. So that base gets smaller and smaller, and as it gets smaller, we charge them more and more because to make the profit, right? That has not worked. It's dried boxing up. It's moved it.
What happened next revealed the controversial blueprint Kellerman believed could save boxing. He argued that the sport's biggest problem for decades has been its lack of a central authority. Unlike major leagues or the UFC, boxing has no single entity to make the biggest fights, build stars, or plan for the future. Kellerman then named the figures he thought could form this new authority. Saudi promoter Turki Al-Sheikh with his vast resources, Dana White, the man behind the UFC's global rise, and WWE executive Nick Khan, whom he called the most effective he'd ever seen. It was a shocking proposal, essentially a corporate takeover, centralizing power in the hands of a few billionaires and master promoters to fix the fractured world of boxing.
You have more of the best fighters in the world than anyone else. So I would ask you, does this have the resources? Turki Al-Sheikh, do we have the resources? Yes. Do you have someone who has built an institution in combat sports? The only one I'm aware of. No other institution ever really existed in boxing. As Dana White will say, who I go back with more than 20 years, as Dana White would say, so how many billions of dollars has boxing generated? And what's left? There's nothing here. Promoters go out and, they have a little suite of offices, a couple rooms, and then they leave and then they're gone. There's no institution left. The UFC is an institution, guys. Why do you think all your friends and everybody know more about the UFC and it's talked about more in the mainstream than boxing? Because they have a they there. So the resources are there with Turki. The knowledge of institution building is there with Dana. And Nick Khan is, I'm telling you, and I go back 25 years with Nick Khan, used to be my agent. He's the best operator I have ever seen, period, in any business. He is the best executive I have ever seen. I don't think there's a close second. So Turki resources, Dana institutional knowledge, and Nick Khan as the executive. Can this work? And now it's kicked off with Canelo and Crawford.
But the grand vision immediately sparked heavy backlash. Critics were swift and merciless. Journalists and fans accused Kellerman of preaching to the audience, suggesting that by repeating an idea enough, people might start to accept it as truth. They also pointed out the glaring hypocrisy. Just days earlier, Kellerman had clashed with Canelo at a press conference after claiming that boxing wasn't as popular as it once was.
You want an NBA or an NFL in boxing? Here it comes. Because he knows how to build an institution. And how do you do that?
Hey Max. Boxing is always bigger and big. Don't say boxing is not big enough. Boxing is big. You know how big is boxing.
Should it get bigger, yes or no? Should it get bigger, Canelo?
Maybe it's gonna be bigger, but look, boxing is always big and big and bigger and bigger and bigger. We need to talk about that too. Boxing is boxing.
I love Canelo in English, by the way. I love it.
Boxing is boxing.
No lies. No lies. So how do you do it?
There.
So how do you do it? You have someone like...
My respect for all the sport. Great job, everything, but boxing is boxing.
Now Kellerman was championing the very same Dana White as boxing's potential savior. To critics, it seemed like a convenient narrative, perhaps an attempt to save face or push an agenda backed by powerful promoters. He urged the audience to believe in a golden age, yet the evidence suggested otherwise. This controversy highlighted a deeper problem in the sport, a personality-driven culture. Critics pointed out that in recent years, the biggest pay-per-view draw outside legacy fights has been Jake Paul, a man who built fame outside boxing, drawing attention because people either love him or want to see him lose. That's what sells in today's attention economy. Meanwhile, Crawford and Canelo, two of the greatest of their generation, relied heavily on cross-promotion with culturally dominant brands like UFC and WWE. If a sport needs bigger entities to create hype, what does that say about its own health? The fight thrilled fans, but it didn't produce a new star. It simply showcased the brilliance of existing ones, leaving a void once they're gone. In the end, Terence Crawford's legacy is secure. He is unquestionably one of the greatest to step into the ring, defying the odds, moving up in weight, and defeating a fellow legend. Yet his crowning achievement was immediately swallowed by a heated debate over the sport itself. What was meant to celebrate boxing's potential became, instead, a candid look at its fractures. So we're left with a question. Did we witness the coronation of an all-time king, or was it the last great fight in a kingdom slowly crumbling? As the confetti settles, only time will tell what the future holds for the sweet science. If you enjoyed today's video, leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell to never miss an update. Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for our next video.